Episode 17, Jonbenet Case, Cold Fleet. December 23rd, 1996. John and Patsy Ramsey invited several of their friends to come over for a Christmas party with their children, and they hired Santa Claus to entertain the kids. Here is a list of the people that were there. This first list right here, I broke it into two parts. So the first one is John, Patsy, Burke, and Jonbenet. Then the second one is Fleet, Priscilla, Fleet Jr., and Daphne. And then Robert Brown and Mary Brown, that's Priscilla's parents. And Cliff Gaston and Allison, that's her sister. The second group of people at the Christmas party were John and Barbara Fernie and their son and daughter and a friend, Glenn and Susan Stein and their son Doug and Glenn's mother, Pinky Barber and her two daughters, Joe and Betty Barnhill, and then later Glenn Meyer stopped by, and Linda Hoffman and her daughter, and then the hired Santa, Bill McReynolds, came by at 5:30. At 6:47 p.m., Fleet White placed a 911 call, which was answered by police dispatcher Therese Hillary. Fleet hung up without saying anything. Police called back only to get the Ramseys' answering machine, so they sent an officer out to their house, who arrived about 6:54. After being assured that there was no emergency, he left. Susan Stein talked to the officer and said that Fleet had misdialed. He was trying to call 411 to get information about getting a prescription drugs to his mother, who was sick in Aspen, Colorado. On December 25th, 1996, Fleet and Priscilla had a Christmas dinner, and everyone there was from Fleet and Priscilla's family, except for the Ramseys. Fleet said he went to bed at 11 o'clock, and Priscilla and Allison stayed up till 2 in the morning talking. So maybe Fleet says, "Hey, I'm going to bed," goes in his bedroom, slips out the sliding glass door, drives down to the Ramsey house. He's already got the ransom note written ahead of time, kills Jonbenet, and then comes back and goes to bed. Far-fetched, maybe, but it does seem possible. The fact is, Fleet turned on John Ramsey very early on after Jonbenet had died. So there's two ways to read that. He suspected John Ramsey, or he was guilty himself. On April 6, 1998, Fleet White wrote the president of the University of Colorado, complaining about Professor Michael Tracy working on a documentary about the Jonbenet case. In the letter, near the end, it states, "John and Patsy Ramsey have deprived themselves from the presumption of innocence that they now claim has been taken away from them. They have refused to cooperate with the police. They have moved away from Boulder. Their public statements and appearances have been carefully orchestrated. Now their strategy is to impeach our law enforcement agencies, and in doing so, our community. They will be making desperate attempts to do this. The University of Colorado should have no part of it." In conclusion, I think the phony ransom note eliminates Fleet White as the killer of Jonbenet. There's no real good reason to write it. It does not contain his type of language. I read a lot of Fleet's writings, and there's no similarity. Yet John's language has many similarities to the ransom note. The note appears to have been written in the house after the murder. For example, words are scribbled out, and it looks like the person was nervous when they wrote the first paragraph, and then they calmed down as they continued to write. I took the time to write out the ransom note, and it took me 19 minutes to write. That was straight through, without stopping. Whoever wrote the note had to have taken at least 20 minutes or longer. And a couple things I noticed about writing the note. You have to be very motivated to write that note. And you have to be kind of in a zone to be writing it. And I also noticed that John, the times that the word John is used is not necessary. It could have just been left out. So there was some meaning for that. Well, this concludes this episode, and I really only have one suspect left, John Ramsey. So I'm not sure what the next episode will include.